Hey everybody. Happy Thursday. Today is the 24th, I believe. And I had a few quiet minutes at home, so I figured I would come live and talk to you guys a little bit about some technical stuff. I know I talk a lot about emotional stuff with breast cancer, but I figured I would spend a little time talking about some technical stuff because I get a lot of questions whenever I do these lives and I throw some words out and I mention some treatments or some tests or something, and people are like, "What is that? I don't even know what you're talking about." So I wanted to talk to you guys today about expanders and what I have and how they work, and I know a lot of people had questions on that. So I'm just waiting a few minutes for some people to join, but I see we have some people in here. So, all right, so let me give you sort of a rundown. So I was diagnosed with breast cancer, as you guys know, on July 12th, and on August 2nd, I had a bilateral mastectomy. And in addition, on my right side, I had some lymph nodes removed as well. So my right side had a little more surgery than my left side. So it's not healing as fast as my left side, but at the time of my bilateral mastectomy, what they do is, of course, they take out all the breast tissue. Now, as a woman, you think your breast tissue is like your boobs, right? But you don't realize your breast tissue runs all the way up here and all the way on the side, and they remove all of that. So like right now, it's a little hard to tell on here, but right now, like I'm kind of bony. You can kind of see my ribs here. I'm kind of bony in here. There's like no anything in here. It's very sensitive to the touch. My skin is extremely sensitive here. I get very cold very easily. So everywhere I go, I have a sweatshirt now, which is funny because I still have plenty of padding on the rest of my body, but in this area, there's just nothing. So I get very cold very easily. So in this area up here, the skin is very sensitive, and this area down here, the skin is very sensitive. But this area where my boobs are, this is probably not the best shirt for this, but where my new boobs are, or as I call them, my temporary fake boobs, my TFBs, there's no nerve endings. All the nerve endings were cut, so I can't feel anything to the touch here, but I can feel pressure. So if there's any pressure put on them, I can feel that, and I'll explain that in a second. There's a lot of numbness around the side and even around my back a little bit, but whatever is not numb is extremely sore. My ribs are extremely sore. I feel a little bit like I got kicked in the ribs quite a bit. And even some areas like behind my arms, like behind my triceps, sorry, it's a little hard for me to reach, very tender, very sore, and very, it almost feels like when you have the flu. Do you know what I mean? When you have like a fever, or you have the flu, and it's like even your clothes hurt you. Like that's kind of what my skin feels like in some areas. Like even just my skin, my clothes hurt my skin. So it's extremely sensitive, which is funny because over here, like I said, all my nerve endings have been cut. And so what happens is, what happened was in immediately after the surgery, I really felt nothing. I was on painkillers. I really didn't feel much except a pull. It feels like a very tight pull, like somebody put like a really tight ace bandage around my body, like really tight. And it was hard to breathe and my ribs were sore. And as that sort of loosened up, let me explain why that's happening for a second. Part of the reason that that's happening is because they put expanders in, and expanders are essentially like an empty implant with a port in it, a metal port, and they're thicker than a regular implant, is my understanding. And they put it in, and then they use the port to fill it with saline. And so they put those under the pectoral muscles. And so the stretching that I'm feeling is the pectoral muscles really being stretched out. It's the one sort of disadvantage that I had being in I'm not going to say I'm in great shape, but I was in decent shape when this happened to me. And one of the things is that my muscles were really tight in here. So it's a little bit harder to stretch them out. If you're not as strong or you don't have as many, like I love push-ups and pull-ups, it like really didn't serve me very well. But if you don't do any of that, it's a little easier for your muscles to expand, but it's a little harder for me because I had some stronger muscles in here. So they put the expanders in under the muscle. So you get this really, really tight feeling, and it just kind of pulls from everywhere. And it's super sore and super uncomfortable. And so in the beginning, you just kind of feel that tightness. You don't really feel pain. And then as you stop taking painkillers, when you first come out of the hospital, you have 4 drains. There's like one on the top of each boob and one on the bottom of each boob. and they drain the extra fluid that the body cannot absorb. So once you get those drains out, it's like a miracle in itself. And I was lucky. I only had my drains for 6 days. A lot of people have them for like 2 weeks. Some people have them for 4 weeks. I don't know how they do it. God bless you for all of you who have had that. I mean, I did everything I could, which was nothing. You can't really control it. But I was like, please get these drains out. So after 6 days, they were able to pull them out, which is great because then you can take full showers and you can start feeling human again. But even that made for a lot of soreness and tenderness and discomfort. It was just not comfortable. But it wasn't pain because I was on painkillers. So once I took the drains out, I went off painkillers. I essentially just took Advil at that point for any pain that I was having. And what started happening was I was getting these like insane, sharp, painful itches in my boobs. Now, I call them my boobs. Like I said, they're my TFBs. They're my temporary fake boobs. When I had my surgery and after the mastectomy and then the plastic surgeon came in and put in the expanders, they put in about 180 cc of fluid. So when I woke up, I was not completely flat. I had little sort of teenage boobs. But that was actually kind of a relief to wake up and not see nothing. There was like at least a little something there. So that was really good, and helpful for my spirit, I guess. So there was already something in there. So what was happening in these little teenage boobs I had, I was getting these incredibly sharp, strange, deep itches. And they were like phantom itches. Somebody just said phantom itches. It was crazy. And it was like you would try to scratch them, but you can't because you have no nerve endings. So it was like I couldn't find the itch, but it was painful. It was like, have you ever had that itch where it's like almost stinging you? Like it's super, oh, it's so uncomfortable. And I would get them a lot in my chest. And when I started like 2 or 3 days in, when I was like, okay, I just cannot find these itches. I don't know what's going on. And the more I press, the more uncomfortable it is. When I started getting them, I would sit and close my eyes and I would just say, okay, brain, these itches are not real. I don't want you to feel them anymore. I want it to go away. They're not real. I don't want to feel them anymore. I want them to go away. And I would just repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. Okay, brain, you're not telling me the truth. There is no itch there. It's not true. I would just continuously tell myself it's not true. And within a couple of days, they just stopped. And thank goodness, because they were so uncomfortable. But I had to convince myself that they didn't really exist in the first place. And that's where like a lot of people ask me about mindfulness and meditation and ask if I practice that. And I do practice that. And I did practice that even before the surgery. So this is where like those kind of practices really come in handy because I know that in my mind, I can control certain things. I can't control everything, but I can control certain things. And that was one of the things I was able to control. And there were other phantom pains also, like really strange, but if it got cold in a room, like women, you know how sometimes you might like feel your nipples get hard or something. I know this is weird to talk about, but I would feel that and I would go, oh, wait a minute, I don't have nipples. This is weird. Like, but it's just your mind. It's like, it's a habitual feeling. Like your mind makes a correlation. It's cold in here. I'm going to feel this. I have an itch. It needs to be scratched. So you have to sort of say to your mind, you're not telling me the truth. You got to knock it off. We don't have that anymore, or we can't feel that anymore. And you can, I really do believe you can control your mind that way. So I've spent a lot of time the past few weeks controlling my mind. On the flip side of that, I've been getting a lot of shooting sharp pains in my chest as well. And I welcome those pains because in my mind, those pains are my nerve endings trying to reconnect, and that can happen. So nerve endings can grow back, and I'm not sure I'll ever get 100% feeling back in my chest, but I can already tell that there's certain feelings that I didn't have before, even only 3 weeks out. So those sharp pains I feel are my brain like sending out signals like, okay, are we getting anything yet? Like, we're looking for some signals and are we making connections? And so those signals and those pains I actually welcome. And although they're uncomfortable, and every now and again, if you're hanging out with me, I might just go, ooh, God, like somebody just stabbed me in the ribs. I still welcome that pain. I don't try to shut that pain off because I feel that that's my brain trying to make reconnections in my chest. And I look forward to that because I do feel hugs and I feel love because of the pressure, but I still don't feel anything like when I touch, I don't feel to the touch. So I'm hoping to get some of that feeling back. So that's been a very interesting sort of experience with the pains and whatnot. And again, not trying to shut those off. So the expanders. So what happens is you have these expanders put in. They expand them a little bit when you have surgery. And then you start going about once a week. Some doctors do it once every 2 weeks. everybody's different. And this is what I'm learning about breast cancer. The recovery, the reconstruction, the treatment, it's different for everybody. So this is just my story, okay? So the plan is right now is that I would go back once a week and I would get fills. And then once I am stretched to the capacity that I can be stretched at, they let the expanders just sit for about 8 weeks, and then I can have surgery to replace the expanders with implants. I don't know when that's happening yet. If I need treatment, it will change that time schedule. So I can't make any decisions until I find out about treatment. Tomorrow, knock wood, I will find out about radiation, and by September 5th, hopefully I will find out about chemo. And so hopefully after September 5th, those decisions will be made and we will have a better idea. If I don't need treatment, I will be able to have my implants put in the beginning of November. So that will be my second surgery. And of course, that's what I'm hoping for. Again, I'm knocking wood really hard. But we'll see what the universe has set for me. So what are the fills like? What do the expanders feel like? What does it look like? I'm sure all of you have these questions. And feel free, by the way, I'm watching the feed go by as it goes by. So if you have questions, feel free to ask them now. I can answer them for you live now. So the expanders feel like, okay, first of all, like I said, there's this tightness in my chest, right? When you go in for a fill, let me tell you that. When you go in for a fill, what happens is there's, again, a port, and the port is right around, I can feel it actually, it's right around here. This is a bad shirt to wear because it's black, but let me go this way actually. So you can see sort of that I kind of have boobs here now, right? So there's a port up at the top, and they use a magnet to find the port. And it's a little uncomfortable when they do that because you can feel the pull to the magnet, so it's a little uncomfortable. They mark where the port is, they clean the area, and then they take a needle and they put it in, and it sounds awful and scary, but I don't have any feeling in my breast, so it's not that scary. They put a needle in, you don't even feel it. And then they fill it. And so for me, I get 60 cc put in every week, which is not really a huge amount, but because I'm on the smaller side, framed, for me, it makes a really big difference. I know some people that get a lot more every week, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't even imagine how you do that. It's very uncomfortable. But Casey, no, I cannot see the port under my skin, but I can definitely feel it. It's right here. I feel it. It's so uncomfortable. It's like icky feeling. So they put it in, and you can actually watch the boob grow in front of your eyes. In fact, my husband recorded it yesterday, so maybe one day I'll share that video of what it looks like when your boob grows right in front of your eyes. It's kind of cool. Solange asked, if you do chemo, are you worried about your beautiful hair? Solange, the answer to that question is I am more worried about losing my hair than I am about losing my breasts. And I know that that sounds insane. And it's something that I would love to talk a little bit more about at a later time. I'm trying not to put any energy into chemo out into the universe. But if I'm being honest, it's like it's so crazy. It sounds so vain, but I'm more worried about losing my hair than anything else. It's just so crazy. Besides getting cancer again, but losing my breasts didn't bother me as much as losing my hair. So let's not put any energy into that right now, but maybe we'll talk about that at another time. Maybe we won't have to, hopefully. So that's the true answer to that question. Okay, so they put the needle in, they fill up your boob, and I don't feel it for about the first half of the fill. Second half of the fill, all of a sudden you start feeling the muscles pull, and I'm like, oh, I cringe a little bit. And if I share the video, you'll see how I'm kind of like, oh, it's a little uncomfortable. And so from there, it just gets sort of weird feeling. Gary asked, are you limited physically with how large you can go? Yeah, so this is another thing. Prior to this, I can't even believe I'm sharing all this information online, but we're going to do it anyway. Prior to this, I was about a C cup. And one of the first questions I asked the doctor was like, well, how big am I going to be? And I don't really care how big I am. I just wanted to sort of be where I was. And before surgery, all you think about is like, I just want to be as close to me as possible after the surgery. The problem is they're removing skin when they do a mastectomy. So you usually, not all the time, but you usually can't go as big as you were before. So I don't know where I'm going to end up, to be honest with you. But the doctor basically says we'll end up as far as we can go if that's where you want to be. Some people choose to be smaller. A lot of women wanted a reduction anyway, so they choose to go a little bit smaller. So I don't know where I'm going to end up, but he sort of convinced me that maybe being a perky B is better than being a 42-year-old C. So hopefully he's right about that. Again, I'm smaller framed, so it doesn't really bother me that I can't just choose my boob size. I would not want to go too big anyway, so that doesn't bother me. But yeah, you kind of want to know, like, what am I going to look like after this? But everybody's different. Everyone's different. Casey asked if I had thought about the CBD oils. I'm not at that point yet, Casey, but I will. It's something I've heard about and I know about, but I'm just not there yet. So Doc asked if they do the same amount every time. They do right now. So essentially I had 3 fills scheduled. They canceled one because they feel like it's too many for me. And I just did one yesterday, which I'll tell you about in a minute. But the third one will be on next Tuesday with the plastic surgeon. And that is the one I think where he wants to do it. And he's like, I'm not even sure I'm going to be able to get 60 cc in you at that point. So we'll see. Also, one of my breasts is a little bit bigger than the other right now because of swelling. So what he might do is fill just the one so that he can even them out a little bit. So when they put in the implant, it'll be a little bit better. It's really, there's like an art to it and a science to it. It's crazy. It's not just like, okay, come in, we'll fill your boobs. You can be as big as you want. The other thing that they watch is how thin your skin gets. So if I need to do radiation, they have to be really careful about not thinning out the skin too much. So they're really cautious about that also. So this is one of the biggest, I think, misconceptions about breast cancer and doing this. It's not a boob job. It's far from a boob job. Like, this isn't like, oh, I have breast cancer, I'm going to get awesome looking boobs at the end. This is a science, and it involves a lot of different things. It involves your skin and your size and what you can handle, and are you over the muscle and under the muscle, and there's all sorts of decisions to be made here. And I'm only doing this, I'm choosing to do implants. There's a lot of women that do other surgeries where they can take fat from other areas of their bodies and make breasts out of it. That's another whole animal. I mean, that sounds like a really intense surgery. So there's a lot of different ways to create breasts after breast cancer. This is just the way that I'm choosing to do it. So I had this fill yesterday, and my first fill was last week, and it was one of the most painful things I've ever been through. Not the fill itself, but afterwards, the stretching of the muscles was so unbelievably painful that I had to go back to painkillers. This time I've been doing a lot of stretching, and I think it helped me quite a bit, even though I'm like, all of a sudden I have like these boobs. It's kind of crazy as of yesterday. Vanessa said the swelling will go down, so if they only fill one, how does the doctor account for the swelling? I don't know the answer to that. I can hopefully answer that next week for you, Vanessa. And also the fills are helping with the swelling because it's putting pressure on it, so the swelling is going down since I've started getting fills, but my breasts are definitely 2 different sizes right now, a little uneven. But I still think that they look kind of good, like considering I had surgery 3 weeks ago, they still look all right. So we'll just see next week what he's going to do as far as evening it out. Okay, so what does it feel like? So it kind of feels like in my body, I have these 2 grapefruits that are attached to my chest that do not move. They are hard. I can't move them. They're like kind of half in my armpit over here, so they're in my way. Like when you have natural boobs and you kind of reach over for something, your boobs move with you. These do not move, so they're definitely in my way. They feel like they're probably about the size of grapefruits and sort of that density. They're maybe a little more dense, but they have a little give to them. Again, I can't feel anything to the touch here, but when I press, I feel a lot of pressure and it's painful. And it's almost like, if I can compare it to like having sort of like a Brillo pad inside your skin, and like it doesn't hurt when it just sits there, but if you were to press on it, it would be irritating. And that's kind of how it feels. It's like a very strange irritation when you press on it. The tightness is really bad. It feels like I'm wearing a bra all the time, and it feels like the bra is made out of iron because it's very heavy feeling. It feels like I have like 2 cinder blocks in a bra. And it feels like at the bottom of the bra, like where you might like have the band, is filled with spikes, and it's digging right into my ribs. My ribs feel extremely sore. Like I probably got kicked in them about 400 times. And that's what it feels like. And that's what I'm walking around with every day. Something extremely heavy and uncomfortable. And so I'm sitting like this a lot. I notice that my back is starting to really hurt. So I have to like really be cautious of my posture and make sure that I'm not like always hunched over, because that's so much more comfortable. Um, Casey asked how did I explain this all to the kids? I did. My last live was about that. So if you want to go back and look at that live, it was about that. And my husband has been coping amazingly. He's actually been super supportive and tells me all the time how he still thinks I'm sexy. And I still feel good, you guys. Like I still feel, it's weird. Like I've said this before. I still, I'm not struggling with my body just yet. I wonder if maybe with treatment that will come, which is weird because I'm a woman who's always struggled with her body image. Right now, I feel really powerful. I feel like my body's really sexy in a totally different way. You know, like it's not necessarily about sexuality. It's more about power and femininity right now. And so I still feel that, even though I'm in pain. And, you know, kind of everybody checks on me every day, like, how are you doing? How's the pain? And I have to just sort of accept the fact that right now I'm just living in pain, and discomfort, and as long as it's in control, it's okay. But it really makes things hard to do, like getting dressed or cleaning up. It's like, imagine literally like throwing two cinder blocks over your neck and having them hang here with spikes at the bottom, and like doing your daily chores. It's, or working, or, you know, sleeping for that matter. Like when I lay down and sleep, the weight of these expanders rests on my ribs, and it makes me, it's extremely painful, and it's hard to get up in the morning because it's like that shift of gravity is just painful. Solange asked, what are you doing after all this passes to celebrate? Like a tattoo trip? Have you thought about rewarding yourself after what you've been through? I have thought about it, but I'm not ready to make a decision on that just yet, because I still don't even know what's in front of me. I still don't know what my treatment's going to be. And I can't decide how big the celebration should be until I know how big the journey is. Let's put it that way. But there will be something. So I have another fill on Tuesday. Again, we'll see where it goes with that. And then they just let them sit. Now, the other thing is that the expanders, they fill larger than your breasts will actually be. And they do that on purpose so that when you get your implants, there's a little bit of natural fall. So that they make it a little bigger than what the implants will be. So it's a little bit of a natural fall. So hopefully my breasts after will look more natural that way. So whatever size I get to now is actually a little bigger than what I'll end up being. Barbara asked, what, if anything, are you doing taking supplements, food as medicine to support your immune system? So Barbara, I'm actually researching a lot of that now. Over the past, I don't know, bunch of years of my life, I have gone back and forth between being vegan and vegetarian and whole foods and keto. I mean, I've tried everything. None of it worked to stop cancer. But it doesn't mean that I won't be making some changes in my diet. I'm just not there right now. I'm not at a point where I can be taking supplements right now until I know exactly what my treatment's going to be, because there's a lot of supplements that react with the medicines that you're taking. So I don't have answers for that now, but I will address that when I finally do have answers for that. And Vanessa asked if the heaviness will be different once the implants are in. I'm told yes, and I'm really looking forward to that, because again, it's like, it's just heavy and uncomfortable and tight, and I'm just hoping that that will change. In addition to all of this, I'm doing physical therapy on my own 5 times a day, and I was told yesterday by the nurse I'm not really where I should be with that, which is kind of frustrating. So because of the tightness here, and because you're stretching the pec muscles so much, it limits your arm movement. So for example, this is as high as I can raise this arm right now, which is super frustrating for somebody who used to go to the gym 6 days a week, right? So I have to do things like wall crawls and stretches like this, and arm circles. Like if I did an arm circle, let me see if I can do one for you. You can see like going forward is not so bad, but going backwards, oh yeah, it's like so much pull in here. And again, this right side is harder because I have also stitches under my armpit because they took out lymph nodes there. They didn't do that on this side. So I have more movement on this side. So you can see, let's see, see when I do this, there's so much pull in here. It's really painful, but this is like super exciting that I can even make my arm straight. I couldn't even do that a few days ago. But this side, not so much. Which is going to make it really annoying for shooting and traveling and all the things I love to do. So hopefully that will get better soon. Danielle asked, when will you know your full treatment? Tomorrow, I'm hoping I will find out about radiation and I will know about chemo by September 5th. So say prayers for me on that. No chemo, please. And treatment's weird, you know, like I don't want treatment, but I don't not want treatment. Like it's a very strange thing. You want to just like do everything that you possibly can do to make sure it doesn't come back. So Shannon said, I know a few gals who had expanders and hated them, but now they have nice tatas. That's very good to know. And it's weird. It's funny. It's like I talk about them that they're not mine because they're not mine. Like, it's like I realize that they're like breasts and it's like taboo, but like I don't have my breasts anymore. Like these things I'm talking about are just foreign objects in my body, you know, and people walking down the street might not know that that's what it is. And to them, I just look like a normal everyday person. But to me, they're just kind of like things that are in my body. And if I can talk about it and help other people, I think that it's worth it. I still have my incisions are still very visible. That will be hopefully going away soon, although they go back into the same incision when they do implants. So that sounds kind of icky and painful, but hopefully it will be better. Steve and I did have a double mastectomy. Melinda said I should just use my Queen Elizabeth waves. Bye, everybody. That's all I can pretty much do. So yeah, so tomorrow's a big day. I find out about radiation tomorrow, and see, like even I can't like lift my hand to move my hair, so I gotta bring my head to my hand. But I figured out how to make it work. So that's sort of the information about the expanders. I'm trying to think if I missed anything else. Casey asked, are you going to do a before and after photo when this is all over? I have done my before photos. My before photos are not before my surgery. My before photos are after the surgery, before my fills started. I will take another photo when the fills are done. And I will take another photo when my implants are put in. And I will probably take another photo when I decide what I'm going to do about nipple reconstruction. If I want nipple reconstruction, it's another surgery. And I'm kind of over having surgery. So I think that I'm going to end up getting the 3D nipple tattoos. This is kind of what I want to do. There's an amazing guy in Maryland called Vinny Myers, and he does these incredible 3D tattoos. And Vinny, if you're out there and somebody tags you in this, hopefully I will be one of your clients one day. And that will be a nice, really big party, because when I do that, that will be like the final little bit that I need to do to battle this garbage. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. So yeah, so that's how the expanders work. And again, I have videos on it, and I'm sort of deciding what I want to do, if I want to post them or not. I just get a little nervous about my kids running across the videos, but since I am pretty honest with them and open with them, it might not be a problem. But I need a little time to think about it. But I do have the videos, and I'm documenting everything. I'm taking pictures of everything. So maybe one day there'll be a book, and I'll put it all in the book. But yeah, it's not fun, but I'm trying to make it fun. I'm trying to like make it like, oh look, you know, I'm going through puberty and look at how fun this is. And you know, you have to again keep a smile on your face. And I just said this to my husband about half an hour ago. I said, you know, you can't control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you react to it. And so I'm just trying to keep a smile on, even through the pain and discomfort. And I hope you're all smiling also. And I did get the BRCA test, Stephen, and I am BRCA negative. So that's a good thing. All right, I'm going to run. If you guys have any other questions, you can post. I'll be checking the post later. And as you guys write, and I will answer all of your questions. And I will hopefully report back with good news from the radiation oncologist tomorrow. Fingers crossed. Have a great weekend, everybody. I know it's only Thursday, but why not? Friday can be part of the weekend too, right? All right, enjoy your weekends. Love you all. Bye.